Hello and welcome to Your Stocks in the Mumbai News Studio. I'm Ekta Batra. Well, it's turning out to be a session where we are seeing some amount of consolidation ahead of the big budget tomorrow. However, we have the mid-cap index, which is managing to hold up, so up around 1.4% currently for the mid-cap index. We do have the Solara numbers on your screen. The net loss has reduced to around 13.5 crores versus a loss of 19.5 crores year on year. So that's the reason you're seeing the stock up around 2.3% on the back of that. But joining us today, we have Astha Jain, research analyst at HEM Securities, Ruchit Jain, who is following the technicals as well at 5paisa.com to answer all of your queries. Astha as well as Ruchit, welcome to the show. Well, Ruchit, before we kick it off in terms of queries, wanted your thoughts in terms of how you would approach today's trading session, especially ahead of the budget. Any specific stock-specific, sector-specific calls that you would be taking?
Yeah, hi, very good afternoon. So if we look at the markets, I think post the election results, we have already seen a good run-up before this big event of budget. So we believe that more or less much of the positivity, which could be seen in the budget has already been factored in the market. Now, technically, if I see on Friday's trading session, there was a bearish engulfing pattern which was formed on Nifty's daily chart, and the momentum readings, that is RSI oscillator, is also in the overbought zone. So Ekta, we are a bit cautious on the markets at current levels, and we are not advising to put any fresh investments for now. It's better to see the market reactions post the budget, and we would expect some sort of correction happening post the event. So I think these are good levels to book at least partial profits and take some money off the table and revisit the situation post the event for fresh investments.
Okay, all right. Well, let's get in some queries now. We have LG Gopal, who writes to us from New Delhi, holds 800 shares of Infosys, which he's bought at around 1,200 odd rupees. He's sitting on a good profit there. He wants to know what to do, whether, what his outlook on this particular holding would be. Astha, well, it was broad-based growth. The management has upgraded its guidance for FY25 as well. So that was the positive for Infosys. But nonetheless, how would you approach the stock, considering that, the person who's writing to us, Mr. LG Gopal, in fact, is sitting on a profit now?
Hi, good afternoon to both of you. Talking about Infosys, the results were good. And what was the eye-catching? The result is their deal wins, $4.1 billion around. So I think that was really fabulous. So deal wins were strong, and in fact, management has upgraded their guidance also. And going ahead, the kind of environment improvement we are seeing, especially in the North America and Europe, that will going to benefit the company, because we have started seeing some of the improvement in their verticals also, especially BFSI vertical. So if I combine all these points, I think it is signaling towards more upside from here, and that's why our call is hold on the counter with the immediate price target of around 1950.
Okay, immediate target of 1950. What about you, Ruchit? Technically, how would you approach Infosys? What would your target be on that one?
So the most wonderful part of this position is the buying price, because it's almost near to that lows which we have seen in this recent corrective phase in the month of April. And the good thing is that the worst seems to be behind is for most of the large cap IT, many of the large cap IT names. I won't say all, but Infosys, yes, it has started forming that high top, high bottom structure on the a bit mid to longer term charts also. So I think in case of any correction also, now 1700, 1650 would become a very strong support for the stock. So I think it's a good it's a good buying level. So it's better to ride this trend on a positional basis. I think Infosys has potential to test its previous all-time highs, which was around 1900, 1920 kind of range. So better to ride this trend, and in case of any corrections, I think he has a good margin of safety to hold on in this in any kind of volatile times.
Okay, all right, got it. Anushri now writes to us from New Delhi, holds 50 shares of Tata Technology, which is bought at around 1,065. She's a long-term investor, wants to know what to do, whether to hold or sell this particular counter. She's sitting on a loss at this point in time. But from a long-term perspective, what would your approach be towards this, Astha? How would you approach Tata Technologies?
Although we have seen some sort of softness in these stock prices, but I think long-term is looking bright for this company, and we are recommending hold on this counter with a price target of around 1100. Talking about this counter, first of all, it is into the automotive R&D, that is engineering, research and development space. So, I mean, that is a very strong space to cater on, and now they have become a strategic vendor to 12 new energy startups. So again, now All these things are really helping the company in showing strong financial performance going ahead. So we are thinking that the future prospects are brighter for the company and hence recommending hold. Initial price target can be set at around 1080 to 1100 levels.
Okay, all right. And technically, Ruchit, what's your approach towards Tata Technologies? It's been, sluggish on a year-to-date basis. It's down and out. So what would your approach be technically?
So limited historical data, but no post listing, we have not seen any kind of high top, high bottom so far in the stock. So the technical sector is not that positive, and even the recent pullback moves which we had seen had faced selling pressure, and we have not seen any kind of high volume based buying coming in the stock. So my advice would be to keep a sell on rise approach, and in case if we can get any kind of pullback moves in the stock towards its recent swing high of 1050, then it would be good to take an exit position from this position and make a shift to some other sector.
Okay, all right. The other query now we have is on IRFC. That one has been a multi-bagger. Praveen writes to us from Karnataka, holds 4,100 shares of IRFC, which he's bought at, I think, around 47 odd rupees. And he's asking whether he can hold for another 6 months or book his profits. Well, that's the key question for a lot of these PSU stocks, may it be defense, may it be within the railway space. And even a couple of these PSU banks, the key question is people are sitting on a good amount of profits. So should one probably prudently take some money off the table? Or do you think that it's set up for more? Ruchit, you go first.
So Ekta, I think it's a good time to take some money off the table. We have seen a very good run up in many of the PSU names, such as defense is there, railways are there, and it's not that the trend is negative, but since the stocks have already seen a good run up before the big event, so I think there could be some profit booking once the event is over. That would, of course, not change the larger degree trend, but in case if anyone is looking for fresh buying, then the risk reward ratio is not favorable at current levels. And since he's sitting at good profits, I think it's wise to take at least partial profits off the table over here.
Okay, all right, fair enough. And what about the fundamentals? What would your approach be towards it, Astha?
So I would really like to see tomorrow's budget because the major factor which will be play an important role here is the budgetary allocation to the railway sector. As we all know, it is the sole market borrowing arm of the Indian Railways. So we really need to see how this budget goes out for the railway sector, especially the budgetary allocation. But talking about other fundamentals of the company, it is a low risk cost model. So I think that is really working in favor of the company, and they are showing incrementally strong margins also. So we are positive on this counter, provided the budgetary allocation to remain strong as it was in the past. So tomorrow will be key to look out for this company as in particular. But I think meanwhile, one can remain invested in the counter with the initial price target of 220 to 225.
Okay, all right. So you could probably remain invested in IRFC for now, but budget will become a crucial standpoint for this particular stock. Ashutosh Bose writes to us from Kolkata, holds 300 shares of Zomato, which he's bought at 68. Long-term investor wants to know the future prospects of this particular counter. Well, Zomato is sitting on a good profit at this point, and the buy price has been quite attractive as well. Astha, what is your sense in terms of Zomato? Numbers would be a key trigger, but nonetheless, as a long-term play.
So as a long-term play, it remains strong, and we are recommending hold as well as buying on dip strategy can also be applied since markets are volatile. So first of all, would like to give the target, which is around 240 to 245 odd levels. So hold as well as buying, both are recommended for this counter. Talking about this counter, I think there are some of the segments like Blinkit is really working very strong for the company, and the number of store additions will be a key growth driver going ahead for FY25 because company intends to double the store count. In fact, being a diversified player because they are into the various segments, the company has shown strong performance already in their financials. And going ahead also, we are expecting this counter to perform well because they are now planning to increase their penetration in the tier 1 cities also. So I think the fact, the steps which company is taking right now will be definitely benefiting the company in future. Remain positive on this counter with the price target of 240 to 245 at the initial level. and hold as well as buy can be recommended for this.
Okay, all right. And technically, it's given decent returns on a 3-month basis also, if you look at it. So what would your recommendation be, both short-term as well as long-term, Ruchit, on this particular counter, on Zomato?
Yeah, so the technical trend seems to be positive only because the stock has consistently been forming a high top, high bottom structure since last 1 year. Recently posted last quarterly results in the month of May, we did see a dip in the stock towards 150 kind of levels, but again that dip was bought into, which clearly indicates that a strong buying interest is there in case of any kind of declines in the stock. For the short term, 245 is the targets as per the retracements of previous correction, which could be expected. So I would recommend to continue to hold on and take a review again once the stock approaches that 245 level.
Okay, all right. Well, that's on Zomato. That's given good returns as well. 66% return in the past just couple of months. Well, for the markets, it's just about holding flat at this point in time. The Nifty, Sensex, as well as the Bank Nifty, absolutely flat. We have the mid-cap index, which is managing to hold up with a gain of around 1.3%. Advanced decline ratio in positive terrain, which stands at almost 2:1. But you'd have to say just a marginal gain at this point. Advances at around 2,200 stocks to declines at around 1,950 on the Bombay Stock Exchange. We'll take a break, but as we do that, we strive to get you the best of market and macro voices ahead of the union budget. So tune in to CNBC TV18 at 9:05 a.m. onwards on Budget Day tomorrow. We will be live from the National Stock Exchange with Morgan Stanley's Rhythm Desai, Nilesh Shah of Kotak AMC, Ruchit Jain of 3P Investment Managers, and NSE's MD and CEO Ashish Kumar Chauhan. Welcome back. You're still tuned into Your Stocks. We have At and Astha as well as Ruchit to answer all of your stock queries. Well, let's get in another question now. We have Anil, who writes to us from Hyderabad. He holds 100 shares of Trent, which he's bought at around 1,500 odd rupees. He wants to know what to do, whether to hold or to sell at current levels. Well, this is a stock which, where the debates go on and on about, the kind of a multi-bagger it's turned out to be. So, Ruchit, I wanted your thoughts first on the technicals of the stock. What would your target be from these current levels of around 5,000 odd rupees, almost 5,200 odd rupees? What would your stop loss be?
So I believe that the stock has seen a good run up, and from that overbought setups, it has started correcting since last 3 or 4 trading sessions. So the stock may go through some time-wise corrective phase in next few months or next few weeks, where the stock would consolidate within the range of 4,700 on the lower side and 5,600, 5,500 on the higher side. So we expect the stock to show some consolidation within this broad range, and since he is sitting on good profits, I advise to book partial profits over here, and for rest of the positions can keep a stop loss below 4,700, which is a crucial support.
Okay, all right. And technically, what would your fundamentally, what would your approach be on this one on Trent, Astha?
So we have seen strong financial performance from this counter, especially due to Zudio, because it has shown stellar performance. Going ahead also, I think the company will continue to perform better, because what we are seeing that they have gaining the market share, continuously gaining the market share, especially in the retail apparel segment. In fact, their SSG, that is same store sales growth, is also strong. And going ahead also, we are expecting strong footprint addition in this counter. So we are expecting this counter to continue to perform strongly, and hence we are recommending hold. Initial price target can be set at around 5,700 odd levels.
Okay, 5,700 odd levels. When would you possibly expect those target prices to be achieved?
Maybe let's see the results first. So maybe the time frame can be set at around 2 to 3 months.
Okay, all right. 5,700 on the fundamentals is what Astha is looking out for on Trent. Well, Veer Matu now writes to us from Bhopal. He holds 20 shares of Dixon Technologies, which he's bought at around 12,600. So he's sitting on a loss. He wants to know what to do. What are the future prospects? Well, fundamentally, do you look at Dixon Technologies, and what would your call be on this, Astha?
Yes, we are recommending hold on this counter with the price target of more than 12,000 odd levels. So talking about this counter, Dixon Technologies has shown strong performance, especially their mobile segment, which contributes 50% of the top line, is working strongly. Going ahead, also the company will continue to show strong growth in their other products mix. So we are expecting a strong performance to be delivered by this counter in their results also, recommending a hold with the initial price target to be set at around 12,000 to 12,100 odd levels.
Okay, 12,000 to 12,100 odd levels. It's given good returns, technically. It's up around 50% in just the past 3 months. What would your call be on the technicals of this counter of Dixon Technologies, Ruchit?
So Yukta, that's what even I was noticing, that the stock had already seen a good run up, and the buying price I think is at higher levels. Maybe chasing the stock in because of fear of missing out. But no, I would advise now to keep a fixed stop loss below 10,900 first, because the stock has entered some kind of corrective phase which could last for a few weeks from current levels. If it's a long-term position, then there is no doubt that the long-term trend remains positive, but the momentum readings are getting corrected from that overbought zone. So for next few weeks, do not expect any significant run-up in the stock. One should keep stock below 10,900, and in case of any pullback moves at higher levels, the resistance would come around 11,800 to 12,000, where one should again take a review whether to take an exit over there or not.
Okay, well, we have another stock which has seen a good run-up, and that's the next query that we have. We have Dinesh, who writes to us from Hyderabad. He holds 1,050 shares of Infibeam Avenues. He's making a loss on it, but nonetheless, the stock has given good returns. He wants to know what to do, whether to hold or sell at current levels. He's looking at a 3-month horizon. So this is just up your alley in terms of the technicals. Ruchit, what would your recommendation be?
Technical structure for short to medium term is not that positive. Before we see any kind of next leg of up move, I think the stock would see some more correction towards 25, 24 and a half kind of levels. So my advice would be to take an exit from the stock at current levels and review the stock if you want to enter again if the stock comes in the 24 to 25 zone.
Okay, all right. If it comes back into that 24-25 zone. Astha, what about you on Infibeam? I know it's a 3-month horizon, but fundamentally?
So we are keeping our eyes on whatever plans the company has mentioned in the previous con calls. So they have a plans to expand internationally, especially in the Saudi Arabia, UAE and US. So that is a good thing to, look after the company. Their strategic acquisitions, we really need to look after how they will be working. And most importantly is the net take rate. That is net take rate. Companies aiming to double net take rate by FY25. So we really need to see how the company is performing on all these parameters in their results, upcoming results. So meanwhile, one can stay invested in the stock if everything goes well according to whatever management is guiding. I think company can, stock can show the price momentum towards upside with a price target of 31 to 33 at the current level.
Okay, all right. Well, we now have Velu, who writes to us from Tamil Nadu, holds 10 shares of Polycab, which he's bought at around 4,584. So he's sitting on a profit there. And he wants to know the prospects of the investments. Well, this one's seen a little bit of a volatile ride. But nonetheless, year to date, it's still given decent returns of around 15% odd. So let's start with the fundamentals. Astha, what would your approach towards Polycab be?
So what we have seen in the financial results gone by that there was a drop in the revenue. Maybe their international business was not working in the favor of the company. The reasons given by the company was that transition to their US model. So I think it will take another 1 year to stabilize. So that was one of the reason. What we are thinking that their domestic business is still working well, and the organized cable and wire market is continuously gaining market share. It is now their market share is at around 22 to 25%, which was earlier 20 to 22%. So it was now in the Q4 of FY24, it was on the higher side from 22 to 25%. So they are gaining the market share, and going ahead also on the basis of improved product mix, we are expecting company to deliver strong performance. Maybe this coming quarter, maybe not that strong for the company, but going ahead, maybe H2 of FY25 will really work in favor of the company. So keeping in mind the time period of 6 months, we are recommending a hold. Initial price target can be set at around 6,700 to 6,800 levels.
Okay, all right. And what would your target be on the technicals of the stock, Ruchit, Polycab?
So in last 1 month, the stock has already seen some correction from 7,300 to 6,300, and it's now very close to its support zone of 6,200 to 6,100. Even on the elections day results, when most of the stocks formed a decent short-term bottom, the support was taken around 6,140. So I think it's trading around its support. It's better to hold on to the stock at current levels, but yes, do keep a stop loss below 6,100 on the existing long positions, which if gets breached, then that could lead to some decent price-wise correction. So book profits either if 6,100 is breached or on any kind of pullback move towards 6,900.
Okay, all right. So that's on Polycab, which has given returns of 45% in the past 6 months. But that's all the time that we have on the show. Ruchit as well as Astha, thanks very much for joining in and giving us your perspective. Do remember, you can email us all of your questions. We'll address them with our experts. Stay tuned. Closing bell will take you through the last hour of trade.